talking about everybody's favorite, dividing decimals. Dividing in general, right? Nobody likes it. It's the redheaded stepchild of the family. It's horrible. What you looking at me like that for, redhead?
Well, I guess we're talking about Delilah too,
So, we are going to talk about dividing decimals. Laura, put your calculator away. Thank you much. We do not have any new vocab, but you need to know what a divisor and a dividend is. The dividend is the number you are dividing. That's the number that's inside the box. Divisor is what you are dividing by. That's the number outside the box. So as a simple review, when we divide whole numbers, when you divide a decimal by a whole number, we just set it up the same way. The only difference is that we have a decimal inside our box, so therefore that decimal just goes straight above where it is inside the box. Okay? That's the first thing you should do when you're dividing, is put that decimal where it needs to be. And then you just divide like normal. Again, it shows you that decimal just goes straight above, and then we divide 2 into 11 5 times. 5 times 11, or 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, drop down my 8. 2 goes into 18 9 times. Things that concern me is that you are not doing the full process of dividing. The reason this concerns me is because I had a student tell me just 2 days ago, oh yeah, I know how to divide. And so we worked out a problem, and then the student said, oh, I forgot about the subtraction part. Okay, so make sure you're working these out, that you know this process. Division is an important math concept that I expect you to know as high schoolers. Multiply, subtract, drop down. Multiply, subtract, drop down. So let's practice on the back. 219 2/10 divided by 8. Which one of these is going to go inside my box? 219.2. 8 is my divisor and goes outside the box. 8 goes into 21 how many times? 2 times 8 is 21 minus 16 is 5. I'm not ready yet. Drop down my 9. 8 goes into 59. How many times? 7 times 8 is 'Subtract 59 minus 56 is, drop down my 2. 8 goes into 32. How many times? So my answer is 27.4, because I have no remainder, nothing left there. When we divide with decimals, we never have a remainder anyway. We always have to add another 0, drop those zeros down till we're done, or until the instructions tell us to stop. Okay? Here's our next one. 0.6 divided by 4. Which of these goes inside the box? Going to take my decimal, put it right above where it's at, inside my box. What needs to go in front of that decimal? A 0. There will not be a number there because 4 will not go into 0. 4 goes into 6 once. When I subtract, I get... So I have a remainder there. What did I just say is going to happen? I have to add a 0 after that, 6. I drop down that 0. 4 goes into 20 how many times? So my answer is 1,500. So when we have a decimal as our divisor, or the number that we are dividing by, we have to move that decimal. You cannot divide with the decimal on the outside of your box. So we move it over until we get a whole number. However many spaces you move that decimal over, you also move the decimal inside the box. Sometimes we have to add zeros inside the box to get that many places available. So here is our first example. 6 and 888 thousandths divided by 2 and 8 tenths. Which one of these goes inside my box? Bless you. 6 and 888 thousandths. 2 and 8 tenths goes outside my box. I cannot divide with a decimal hanging out here, so I have to move it over and make this new number 28. However many places I move that, I also move this decimal. So I slide it over 1 as well. At this point, I like to take the time to put my decimal right up here so I don't forget where it goes, so I don't get confused. Now I'm working with the number 28. Out here, 28 goes into 68 how many times? Twice. 2 times 28 is 56. Going to subtract. End up with my 12. What's my next step? Drop the 8. I'm looking for how many times 28 goes into 128. Anybody got a good guess? 5. What is 28 times 5? 140. Too much.
Let's do 4.
112. Looks good to me, so we're going to put a 4 there. 112 down here. Subtract and I get 16. Drop the 8. Goes in there 6 times evenly. When I subtract, I get a 0. May stick your hood off. Questions? Next one is 258 and 3 tenths divided by 2 and 8 tenths. Which of these goes inside the box? 258.3 and 2 and 8 tenths goes on the outside of my box. I'm moving my decimal point over one spot. So I now have 2,583 divided by 28. $28 will go into 258 how many times? Which is 252. When I subtract, I have a 6. Drop down my 3. 28 will go into 63 how many times? 2. 2 times 28 is 56. When I subtract, I got a 7. Now I'm out of things to drop down, so what do I have to add? A 0. 28 will go into 70 how many times? Just 2. 56. When I subtract, I get 14. Have to add another 0 to drop down. 28 will go into 140. 5 times evenly. In order to check and see if our answer is correct, we can estimate. What would we round 28 to if we were estimating? 30, or we could round that to 3. What could we round 258 to? Or 200 and... I'd just go all the way to 60. So 260 divided by 3, that's going to be approximately... Oh, they rounded it clear to 300. Look at that. They said their answer is going to be close to 100. Is our answer close to 100? Kind of, sort of, yeah.
How the hell do you round it to 300?
Well, because 258 rounded to the nearest 100 is going to be 300.
So what do we have with decimal and our number?
In which answer? This one?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because we slid it over one there and we slid it over one there, so it's going to be right between between your two 2's. Right, Mason, I agree with you. That's why I'm not a big fan of estimating. I could be like, let's just round it to 400. Let's round it to 200.
I probably got 300 out of 2,000.
They didn't. They got 300 out of 258 and 3/10.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. The next one is 5400ths divided by 12. Which of these is going to go inside my box? 5400ths. Even though it is a smaller number, that is what our dividend is because it comes first in our problem. Do we need to move our decimal point for this problem? Nope. We do not, so we keep it where it is. It goes straight above where it's at, and I hang out a 0 there. Can 12 go into 5? No, so I put a 0 there. How many times does 12 go into 54? Give you a hint.
4.
It's 4. 4 times 12 is 48. When I subtract that, what do I get? Right? Sorry, I wrote my 6 too early. Okay, I got a 6 left. Now what? Add a 0 and drop it down. 12 goes into 60. 5 times. Does that work out evenly? Well, yes. Yes, it does. So I am done with that division problem. When we divide by powers of 10, it is exactly the opposite of when we multiply by powers of 10. So if we divide by 10, 100, or 1,000, we move our decimal to the left. We are dividing. We move the decimal however many zeros are in our number. There's 1 0, so we move our decimal point 1 to the left. If we divide by 1,000, there are how many zeros? So we move our decimal point 3 places to the left. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Remember that if you end up with a decimal in front of your number, you need to put a 0 there to show that there is nothing in front of your decimal. Have to. Mostly for my grading sakes, yes.
The online worksheet make us do that too.
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay, so a lot of times it just has us put the number in.
Well, 0 is a number. I would assume they want 0, decimal point, and then your numbers, yes. So we are dividing 548 6/10 by 1,000. Do what? Okay. How many zeros are in my divisor? So how many places am I moving my decimal point? So my new number is 5,468 10,000ths. The next one is 68 hundredths divided by 10. How many zeros are in my answer, in my divisor? 1, so I'm moving my decimal point to the left 1 place. Is there anything in front of my decimal point to move it to? So I have to add another 0. That 0 has to stay here, and I have to add another 1. Questions about today's assignment? Okay, your assignment is an online assignment. There are 15 questions. You need to turn in a piece of paper showing me a written out division problem for at least 5 of those problems. Yes. None of them may be the ones where we're dividing by 1,000, 100, or 10.
What if you don't do 15 problems?
What if you don't do 15 problems?
No, 5.
If you don't do 5 problems, then you fail the assignment.
We'll do 3.
Just do 5.
What about 4?
Just do 5.
I'm just saying, what if there was like
You get a 0. If you don't turn in a paper with 5 problems worked out, you get a 0 on the whole damn thing. Okay? Okay.